By now, the Strait of Hormuz is no longer an obscure waterway. It has become a name known across the world, and for good reason. The impact of its blockade reaches even the farthest corners of the planet. However, beyond its role in global trade lies a side that often goes unnoticed. The region is home to landscapes found nowhere else on Earth, shaped slowly by powerful natural forces over time. Understanding how this strait was formed explains why it has become a geological trap today. We'll get why it has been turned into a strategic leverage that even the most powerful nations cannot easily overcome. This vital waterway has become like a feature of contradiction. On one hand, it powers the modern world, with millions of barrels of oil passing through it every day. On the other hand, it has also become a point of pressure, where any disruption can put fuel-dependent nations at risk. In this part of the world, a rare phenomenon that can't be ordinarily seen happened here. The collision of two continents. Once you've traversed the terrain, these become quite obvious. From the folded ridges of the Zagros Mountains, down to the narrow edge of the strait, where the Musandam Peninsula pushes toward Iran like a blade. To understand the strait better, we have to go back millions of years. Long before the first ship ever passed through it, it began around 35 million years ago, with a slow but powerful collision between two tectonic plates. To the south was the Arabian Plate, and to the north was the Eurasian Plate. Between them lay a vast body of water known as the Tethys Ocean. This ocean was so wide it once separated entire continents. Over time, the Arabian Plate began to move. It pushed northward, slowly sliding beneath the Eurasian Plate in a process known as subduction. Over millions of years, it built immense pressure beneath the surface. That pressure reshaped the land. It bent the crust, creating a vast depression that would eventually become the Persian Gulf. However, the strait itself didn't exist yet. It only appeared much later. Around 20,000 years ago, during the last ice age, the climate warmed and ice sheets began to melt. Water pushed inland, flooding low-lying areas and spreading across the basin, and over time, that flooded basin opened outward, forming the narrow gateway, which would later become one of the most vital choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. The same geological forces that created the region also led to vast oil and gas reserves. Over millions of years, organic material was buried and trapped beneath rock layers during the continental collision. Today, these reserves make the surrounding region one of the most energy-rich places in the world. The oil comes not only from Iran but other Gulf states such as Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. The majority of this oil must pass through the Strait of Hormuz before it can reach the rest of the world. This is now how the strait became a geological trap. At its tightest point, the entire passage is only about 33 kilometers wide, and ships don't even use most of that space. Tankers move through just two narrow corridors, each only about 3 kilometers wide. One lane for ships entering the Gulf, one lane for ships leaving it. Due to its narrowness, Iran was able to hold a powerful grip on this valuable corridor. They don't need overwhelming force to exert control. Instead, they can rely on asymmetric tactics. These methods were designed to disrupt rather than directly confront. As a proof of its great leverage in the strait, Iran was able to charge millions of dollars in toll to those ships trying to have a safe passage. But this waterway tells a story far beyond the ships that pass through it. A group of islands are present within its vicinity, which hosts some of the most otherworldly landscapes. At the center of it lies Hormuz Island. This small island, only 26 kilometers in size, reveals a terrain shaped by rare geological processes. The island is made up of different valleys, each with its own distinct features. In the Valley of Silence, soft layers of pink, red, and white spread across salt-rich ground. These colors come from minerals like iron oxide and gypsum, which were pushed up from deep underground. Nearby stands the Salt Goddess Cave. True to its name, this formation belongs to one of the world's largest and most active salt systems, shaped by tectonic forces and the lingering traces of ancient seas. After taking in its beauty, it's hard not to see nature as the artist here. The columns seem almost intentional, as if carefully shaped by hand. Further along, the landscape grows even more striking. In Rainbow Valley, the ground is painted with bands of red, purple, yellow, and blue, shaped by volcanic activity and ancient marine deposits from the Miocene epoch, around 5 to 23 million years ago. Each color has its source. Erosion has stripped the surface, revealing this vivid display, as if the land itself is releasing its colors under wind and time. In the southern part of the island, the Valley of the Statues reveals a different force at work. Wind and erosion have shaped the rocks into arches, towers, and figures that resemble animals. These formations, carved through the patient work of nature, stand as quiet reminders of what time alone can create. Then, along the island's coastal communities, a different palette emerges. At Red Beach, vivid crimson sand extends to the shoreline. The island is rich in this red soil, known locally as gelak. What's more remarkable is that this iron-rich earth is edible. In fact, it plays a role in locals' everyday lives. They use it as a spice in sauces and even in jams. But beyond these natural wonders, the true wealth of Hormuz lies in its people. The island is home to fishing communities whose lives are closely tied to the sea, with each day shaped by the tides of the Persian Gulf. Among its almost 10,000 population, many are Bandari. It's an ethnic group from Iran's southern coast, known as the People of the Port. Bandari women are often seen in vibrant traditional clothing, wearing the borage, a distinctive face mask that gives them a striking and mysterious appearance. This centuries-old tradition remains an important part of their cultural identity. Despite the rise in tourism as more people become aware of the island, life here remains simple. People continue with their daily routines, largely removed from outside pressures and focused on their way of life. The story of the Strait of Hormuz would not be complete without looking at its other side. Across the water lies Oman's Musandam Peninsula. It is rugged and steep, with a coastline carved by deep, narrow inlets that resemble fjords. It is often called the Norway of Arabia. The reason becomes clear at first glance. Towering limestone cliffs drop straight into clear blue waters, forming long winding channels known as khors. They resemble glacial fjords, but they were not shaped by ice. Instead, they were formed by tectonic uplift and the slow process of erosion over time. What makes Musandam stand out is how abruptly it rises. There is little transition from sea to land. Rock walls climb almost vertically, with barely any flat ground in between. The coastline feels tight and enclosed, difficult to cross, and shaped by powerful forces. Within this harsh terrain, communities have adapted in simple and practical ways. Small villages are scattered along the coast, many of them accessible only by boat, shaping a life closely tied to the sea. This isolation has preserved a distinct local identity that, unlike in the neighboring Emirates, remains largely untouched by mass tourism. Even their language reflects this uniqueness. Locals speak Kumzari, a rare blend of Persian roots, strong Arabic influence, and elements of Portuguese and Hindi, shaped by centuries of interaction across these waters. The sea remains central to daily life. Fishing is the main livelihood, and traditional wooden boats continue to move through the khors, following routes used for generations. In the midst of this quiet, simple life, it's almost unsettling to realize that just beyond these shores lies the world's most controversial chokepoint, one that's shaking the world economy as of this moment.